Hello and welcome to Careers 360. So when it comes to pursuing higher education, one of your influencing factors are your placements. So the institutes also understand that, which is why they often create an advertising brochure instead of a placement brochure. They highlight one of the best placements, right? They focus on the best CTC. Instead of focusing on the majority 100 offers, they just highlight one thing that is too good for them, right? Which is where the students are also confused and they are diverted and influenced by these advertising tactics instead of actually looking at the bigger picture of seeing what the majority of the placements are. Which is where we at Careers 360 come to the rescue of the students. We are actually providing you the data which is not so readily available. We've compiled it in a way so that you can understand the trap of these advertising placement brochures and see what actually the placements are. So through our research, we have compared the placement brochures and tried to see with NIRF reports or with third-party sources to understand whether the alumni are actually working at top companies. How have the placement season been for the past 3 years? And try to see what are the placement percentage for each program being offered at the institute. Now the scope of this video is for MNNIT Allahabad. Now this video will help you understand whether this institute actually meets your demands and your expectations of the institutes when it comes to placements, right? Now we understand that NITs offer admission through JEE Mains, so I'll also briefly cover the cutoff ranks for this institute to see if it is actually relevant for you or not. So let's move on. So basic facts of MNNIT Allahabad include that it was established in the year 2007 and it's an institute of national importance. Now the campus size of this institute is spread across 222 acres and the NIRF ranking under the engineering domain for this is 60th. We at Careers 360 have ranked this as 4A+, right? The total male to female ratio here for the 4-year UG engineering program is 80:20. So you have 3,543 male students and 841 females. Now you can also see that the total count here becomes 4,384 for the engineering program, UG engineering program. And you also have a count of 101 students who come from outside the country. The total faculty count here is 280 for all these students, right? So now we'll be speaking of the cutoffs to actually see whether this institute will offer you admissions or not based on your JEE Main scores, right? So we have covered the open gender male categories cutoffs here. You can see obviously NITs, they offer admissions for both home state and outside state. So we have the cutoff data for all 5 rounds of the JOSA counseling. Now if I were to speak of the CSC branch, you can see that the lowest closing rank for the home state CSC branch is 5,943 at MNNIT Allahabad. Similarly, the highest closing rank at home state was 5,642. Your outside state highest closing rank went up to 3,975 and the lowest closing rank recorded for the CSC branch was 4,191. So obviously if you get a rank which is higher than this, then you're eligible for admission to the said course, right? Now this was for CSC. Similarly, you can see that for electrical engineering outside state, the lowest closing rank was 10,928 and the highest closing rank was 10,333. So obviously the cutoffs are your branch specific and your category specific. Speaking for the male open category, you can see that if you go for popular branches like CSC, you have to keep in mind the high cutoffs, and if you go for something like production and industrial engineering, then you can see that the lowest closing rank for home state was 32,872, while that of the outside state was 35,559. So like I've said that we've obviously collaborated this data through various sources, one of them being NIRF reports. So that the placements data that you see here is actually from the government reports which are submitted by the institute itself, right? So the sanctioned approved intake for the 4-year UG engineering program here for the last academic season, that is 22-23, was 1,074. And what is interesting is the placement data which is also revealed for all the years, right? So you can see that in the last placement season, that is 22-23, you had about 905 students who graduated. Out of this, 803 got placed, 4 students went for higher studies and the median salary was about 17 lakhs. For a fair comparison, we have actually compared the placement highlights with the past 3 years, right? Starting from 2020 to 2023. Now you can see that in the last season, the admitted students count was 930 students, out of which 905 were graduated and 803 got placed. 4 of them went for higher studies. So the placement percentage was 89.12%, and the median salary, like we've seen in the NIRF report, was 17 lakhs, right? Now you can see that the median salary is actually increasing and has a vast jump from what was 9 lakhs 3 years back, became 12 lakhs 2 years back, and was finally 17 lakhs in the last placement season, right? Even the placement percentage, I would say, is actually maintaining a streak. What was 96.06% with 9 lakhs median salary is actually 87.18 with 12 lakh median salary, and finally at 89.12% with a median salary of 17 lakhs. So obviously this is increasing and is actually good news for all you aspirants, right? Now if I were to give you a breakdown of the course-wise placement season of that 89.12%, then we would find ourselves on this chart, right? So you can see about more than 50% of the placements were covered by your top streams like CSC, ECE and electrical engineering. So obviously CSC branch, which is the most popular and demanding branch, saw the most number of placements. 24% of the placements were offered for the CSC branches. Similarly, you can see ECE had 18%, mechanical engineering had 14%, IT had 13%, again a demanding upcoming stream. Electrical engineering had 10%, and so on and so forth, right? So now let's have a look at the branch-wise offers made and have a look at the CTCs, both average and maximum, right? So if I were to speak of the CSC branch, you can see that 87.44% was actually placed at a average salary of 28.38 lakh rupees. Electrical engineering had about 84.81% of placements, and 21.36 lakh rupees was the average package being offered here. The highest CTC was again 71.14 lakh rupees. For electronics and communications engineering, again the placement percentage was at 88.74, and the average CTC being 20.56 lakhs with an impressive maximum CTC of 71.10 lakhs again, right? You can see information technology also saw a major chunk of placements at 96.36%, right? And the average CTC here was 21.78% for the said course, right? So obviously you can see that the placements across all the BTech programs is also very impressive. Moving on, the scope of this video is not what your advertising brochures claim or what the NIRF report says, right? We've also referred to third-party sources to actually get testimonials from the alumni, right? So you can see on LinkedIn, we had about 33,219 alumni of MNNIT Allahabad, right? They're associated with the institute for some point of time, right? You can see that at top companies like Amazon, you have about 897 MNNIT Allahabad alumni that have worked at some point of time, and 341 of them are currently working there, with 556 of them being previously employed at the company. At Microsoft, you see about 739 alumni who have worked at some point of time, and 300 of them are currently employed at the company, right? So again, coming to Deloitte, you see that 369 alumni of MNNIT Allahabad have worked there at some point of time, and 132 are currently employed in the company. They're working there, right? So obviously the alumni is working at top companies. Even at Google and Meta, you'll find MNNIT Allahabad alumni. 343 students have worked at Google at some point of time, and 222, so you can see that the turnover ratio is also so low, are currently working there. Even in Meta, you'll find 90 MNNIT Allahabad alumni, right? And 56 of them are currently employed there. So obviously the alumni of the institute are building a reputation at top companies, and you have a very good alumni network if you get into the institute, right? Now coming to the alumni location of the MNNIT Allahabad alumni, right? So you can see that 14.38% of the alumni on LinkedIn is actually working outside India, and 85.62% are working in India, right? Even out of this percentage, 14.38, you can see that 7.73 are working in the United States, while others might be located somewhere else, right? So out of the 85.62% that is working in India, you'll find 34.48% being employed domestically in Uttar Pradesh only. Allahabad has about 16.86% of the alumni count for MNNIT Allahabad. Delhi, again a metro city, you can have 11.77% of the alumni being employed here. Bangalore has about 10.89%. In Haryana, you'll have 4.89%, Maharashtra 5.79%, and so on, right? So you can see that the alumni is not just stationed in India, but also abroad and in metro cities, right? So you can see the alumni network is actually quite diverse geographically, right? So based on the placements of the institute, the global network reach of the alumni, and actually the quality education of an NIT, we suggest that MNNIT Allahabad could be a great pick for you when it comes to pursuing your BTech in India, right? Now, if you found this video helpful, do consider giving us a like, share and subscribe, and follow Careers 360 to get more such content.